Hello, and welcome to ביחידות, the podcast that talks all about our relationship with ourselves. I am very happy to have Judith here today. We know each other for something between climbing and university, and I want to tell the story about the time we met. We met at the climbing gym, and you came up to me and you were so enthusiastic and sweet, and you were like, oh, I saw you at university. And I kind of felt like, at the time, I think we were the only two girls at the climbing gym, and I felt like we have this woman connection, and I think it was nice, and I kind of felt we had a bond, and there was this history. Okay, so as you know, we start with our nice zodiac sign section. I took your date, where you were born, and then we kind of go in deeper into your zodiac sign. I'm generally interested if you relate, and you can say whatever comes to mind. I'll start by saying, so your sun is Scorpio, which makes you a Scorpio sign.
Nice.
And I have to tell you the craziest story. I was driving back home from the climbing gym yesterday, and at some point, I realized there's a real live Scorpio on the dashboard.
Really? On your car?
Yeah. It was so funny. I immediately thought of you, and I was like,
That's how I appear. If you can't see me, I'm there as a transformed.
Okay, so we can start. The sun is the main star in all of your complex, and I'm just going to read a couple of stuff. So it says Scorpios identify strongly with the image you present to others.
So it means I'm someone else inside, and I don't notice, and other people also can't
Not
notice.
necessarily, but it means if someone sees you a certain way, you also see yourself in the same way.
I'm not sure. Sometimes maybe, yes.
Okay, but not strongly.
No, not strong.
Okay, so let's move on to the moon. Your moon is in Gemini. Okay, so it says underlying restlessness, tendency to analyze.
It's funny. One of my sisters calls me little Socrates. So maybe it's fishing a bit. It's also funny with the
Restlessness?
Yeah, it runs in my family, I think.
Oh, really?
I don't take a lot of time just relaxing.
Yeah. So it says democratic, philosopher, optimistic, and said looks on the bright side.
Of course.
That's true, right?
That's me.
Okay, we got to the most interesting, in my opinion, is Venus in Scorpio as well, which is interesting because Scorpio is a very, strong sign. So it says like that. Pleasing you involves demonstrating complete commitment and loyalty.
I think in general with my relationships, that's very important for me. With friendships also. I think I'm searching for people that are loyal to me.
Yeah.
And committed.
Okay, so our last star is Mars, and it's in Virgo. So it says like this: productive and busy, goal-oriented and practical.
I think I'm pretty goal-orientated. Sometimes I also don't like it so much.
Why not?
If there's not a real function in something, I can't do it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I think we can start with what we came here to do. And I've got some topics, but I think we're going to start with the big name of, I wrote it down, making our way in the world. I want to talk a little bit about, so I think, okay, I'll start with a question. Do you see yourself as an individual?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say so.
And what does it mean to you being an individual?
It means I have my own choices, I have my freedom.
I wondered, and this is where I use the word sense of self. I think I asked you that, but do you have this time when you remember you realized you're a person? You're to yourself, that you have the ability or you need to make your own choices. Maybe that you have responsibilities.
I think that's just only coming up now in the last 2 years.
What do you mean?
No, in general, I think we get very much influenced on how we grow up, where we grow up in the world.
Yeah.
And this also defines us and our personality. So for me, building a character, being an individual is very much influenced by the environment you grew up in.
Okay, so how do you feel your environment made you an individual?
I think definitely my family impacted me a lot. I have 3 older sisters that were always some steps ahead of me, and I looked up to them, and we have a very strong family connection.
Yeah.
And the values and everything that comes with it influence you. And especially now that I'm in Israel, I see people can grow up very differently.
Did you find anything new about yourself now being for a year in somewhat a foreign country? Like,
I think if you go to another country, like for me, it was also, I felt like I'm different to the mentality here, to my religion. It's interesting also seeing, like, being a minority in a country.
right.
Like compared to Germany, and also with the language. I speak a bit of Hebrew, but you always feel a bit like.
It's interesting because I think there's a different, like, I'm thinking when I was traveling and I met other like travelers, we were all together in a foreign country. But this is different because you come as an outsider to live in some place for a long time. And I wonder, like, did it make you reflect on yourself, but in deeper senses, not just like, okay, of course you come from maybe a culture that's more polite, so at first it sounds, but did it make you question things you never thought about?
I definitely reflected. And also, like, it sounds very romantic and clear, I think, but it also gives you a new view on your own country. Definitely changes you, and I think I will come back as a different person.
How do you think it will be going back?
It will be very hard.
Why?
Because I really built up a life here, and I got really used to it. I think these changes can be also very stressful, like, and a lot of new things will come up to me. And this period of my life will stop. I will never can come back to it. That's also sad.
Yeah, but I think it connects well to the second point I want to talk about, which is building our identities. And I wrote down changeable or fixed. Because in my point of view, the way I see myself is that I have a fixed personality.
I know it.
Generally, I feel like there's a certain core and it doesn't really change. And I think when we talked about it, you said like, no, I watch it as like a changeable process. But I feel like when I think also about going away now, I feel like I will change a little bit, but only on the surface. In the deep meaning, I will stay who I am.
Like, I think it's both, of course.
Yeah.
We have our character and also influences from the outside, but I think we shouldn't, like, there are big influences.
But you feel like you were born Judith and you will die Judith, you know what I mean? Like, or you feel like I started at one place, but I can finish completely the other way?
Yeah, second.
Can you explain it to me? Because I really personally don't understand it, because I feel like for me there is such a strong sense of this is who I am. And of course, change is really important, and I think I'm changing a lot, but I feel it's more about changing your temperature than changing the essence you're made of. You know what I mean?
It's hard to say, but I feel like the different states of life can really change you. And I think I wouldn't have imagined 10 years ago or even 5 years ago that I would be like this now. And of course, there are maybe big values that never change in your life. But I believe humans are very flexible. And I think we can change it. Also, some characteristics in ourselves, if we don't like them, we can change it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hard and it takes some time, or we need some push from outside, but we can change it.
So I was wondering if you have
You don't think so?
I do agree. I was this past year for me was really weird and really full on. I struggled with myself a lot for many years. But what happened last night, I went to bed and sometimes I write some stuff before I go to bed, like thoughts or feelings. And the underline was, I feel like something is changing. Something big is changing within me. Even my struggles are changing. Not just technically my struggles outside, but the way I see the world is a bit changing. And what I need to learn from this is to accept the change, because I think it's very hard for me. Like, I like things that are known and are stable in a way. So accepting, let's say, that the way I have relationships maybe it's not the way I want it to be. Maybe I need more time alone. Maybe I need other friends. Maybe.
So you're changing a lot.
Yes, but I wanted to say that what I realized is, it's funny, it's a bit like a paradox. The only one thing that has been constant throughout my life is change. You see?
Yeah.
It's a
But
big...
then you're on my side.
I am, but it's more, I feel like change is something that comes from the outside, and it's a big force. Like, it's force that comes from the outside. It's not from the inside. It's like going through big stuff, and it changes because it has to change in order not to break. But it's a different, like, I see change not exactly as positive thing, but something that I have to deal with. And if I want to go through life, I'm going to have to change to adapt. But this adapting process is not easy for me. And I still, maybe one day I will change my mind, but...
No, but I think I understand, I get your point.
Yeah.
I think it's like also what I'm going through here.
Yeah.
Like, I think most of the time it starts outside.
Yeah. And then becomes inside. But like, sometimes I wonder how it works, because it's so, it's so intense sometimes. And I think change is one of the hardest things in the world. But maybe it's actually a good question, I think, to ask you, because, like, I think in one hand as people, we really look for security and want to know what's going to happen. But then we have this force that's, wants to explore and go beyond. And sometimes I feel it's a big conflict in my life. Like, maybe a bit also what you said about your time in Israel. Like, it's been so special. It gave you so many stuff, and you're kind of worried going back to what is known. But on the other hand, like, I don't think we can live all the time in this uncertainty, being so far away from this thing that's so much a part of us, like our family or the place we grew up in. Like, and like, I wonder, how do you see this conflict between changing and exploring to having some security and sense of belonging to one place?
I think it's a part of growing up also. Your family gives you a lot of stability, but when you grow up, you also have to learn to get more stable on your own. But also you want to explore the world, and it's very hard. But I think in general, maybe not only the change is coming from outside, I have to say, because I think it's also human nature. We always want to improve. Yeah. So for example, people want always to go to new countries, want to explore new cultures. We always want to buy stuff. We always want to get a better version of ourselves and everything. I think there's also a big drive in the human that wants to change.
Yeah. Okay, so change is a good place to go to the second question I want to ask, which is about fear. Because I think fear is something that comes up a lot when things are changing. And also, growing up means, in somewhat way, leaving our family, our original, the small community we've been a part of. And I think for a lot of people, one of the feelings that come up is loneliness. And I wonder, what is loneliness, really? And is feeling lonely necessarily a negative thing? Or is it an opportunity as well? Where do you meet loneliness, or how do you define it?
I think in general, when I experience loneliness / being alone, often I feel, I have to say, more loneliness, but I try to work it more towards just being alone and using this time. For me, I have to say, I grew up in a family where there was always a lot going on, and I was never really alone. So now when you start studying, you go into a new city, you don't have maybe these stable contacts, and it can be a really rough time. It's a big change. So I think a lot of people experience loneliness, and it's a long process to get to the point that you feel it's a good thing. I think a lot of people go through this.
I'm wondering, because some people say that they feel most lonely surrounded by people that they don't really like, let's say, or they don't feel comfortable with. And some other people, it only happens when they're really alone, or when they have to deal with something and they don't have someone to turn for advice. And those are different stuff. So I wonder, like, it's like you said, basically, like, is loneliness an opportunity to become alone, or is it always something that will remain an unpleasant feeling that we wish to cast aside?
Like in general, I'm a person that I'm a bit like my father. Like we enjoy always to be around people. Like, and yeah, I can be for a day alone maybe, and that's fine. I need it sometimes, like often, but more than that, I don't need.
Really?
Yeah. So
I have this idea of that I have to learn how to be alone, because at some point in my life I will be alone.
I think it's also connected to growing up, I think. Like you see,
it's always your answer.
Yeah,
but explain. Yeah.
No, like I just see my sisters and how they struggled with these topics, and I think they're much more stable now with it because they went to this process. Also, maybe to learn it really, to suffer loneliness and learn how to deal with it. And then, if you look really at old people, they're really much in peace with themselves. They. Like, for example, my grandmother was a lot in the end lonely. And she knew, she was very old. She was more than 100 years old.
Oh, really? Wow.
But she was very much in peace with herself. And I think she was also not afraid of dying, really.
Really?
Yeah. So I feel like it's maybe a process through life.
So you say we all have to go through it.
Yeah. And maybe we get better with it.
Definitely. I wonder if there is stuff that you would prefer to do by yourself. Did you have periods in your life, like long periods, a couple of months, or times that you felt like, I'd rather just do this thing on my own?
I'm not so much that kind of person, but I have to tell, I think I'm getting older. But I see this year also taught me like that I have to save my energies. And sometimes there are so many opportunities to meet people, to go out in the night. But sometimes I learn for myself, I need some space.
Yeah.
And I like to be like a few hours alone in the evening.
Why do you feel like you need this?
To sort myself again, I think. Yeah. And it's really good, and then I can sleep better and everything. And I think I'm getting maybe more
calm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't feel like I miss out.
Yeah. FOMO, it's a real thing. Okay, so maybe it's a good place to start talking about what I really care, which is like partnerships or relationships. Yes. I feel like I have this image of like, I should find this person who I want to share all my time with.
Your time.
Time, place, heart, thoughts, money, and Aleph, as we say.
That's healthy?
No, but I wonder why can you agree with me that most people would like to have some kind of intense relationship in the way that like they want one person to be really close with for a long time?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Why? And why does it have to be a person that is like our partner?
I think it's a lot about security. Like a person that really commits to you is your partner in crime, and you can always go back to him or her.
Or
whatever. And it's a human need also. We are team players, but of course it's an interesting question if not like friendships can also do this. I feel like a lot of people want themselves, or like I also try to tell myself, and that's enough, but I think this person that really sticks to you.
And I'm not challenging it, but what do you think? So what happens in this kind of relationship that's so strong and so important to us and it can bring us out of pain, but it brings us out of joy. And
like a long-term relationship is a lot about security.
But
what would you say?
I think it's true, but I don't think it's the way that they teach us. Because we talk about, I think an interesting work to bring up here is love. They don't tell us we need partnership because it gives us security. And if we do, I don't need to be in love with this person. I just need to trust him. And of course it comes together in a way, but like...
Yeah, I think it also is a product of our modern world that teach us a lot about love. But in the end, isn't a partner also just a very, very good friend that like is our partner in crime?
I think as young women, we are looking for this person that we can trust and that will make us feel secure. But sometimes it's hard for us to commit because we have this feeling of, I want to explore more stuff and I'm still young and I'm, I have
opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I think for me, and I think also for you, it's hard to imagine ourselves committing even though we want it. But it's like, do you think it will ever stop, or we will always have this conflict when it comes to our partners?
I think it will stop.
Really?
Yeah. Or no, not stop, but it will get less. This restlessness and this always wanting to explore. I think I already see it on me, that it gets less. That I moved around a lot in the last few years. It was nice. I lived in different cities, but now I feel like that's a quality of life, but it can be also a quality of life to live in one place, to have stable contacts, relations.
I think we can all agree that there are different people and we have different needs. And of course, in some way, I think some people need more security and sometimes less. But I'm really questioning who I am in that way. Also talking about, do we have a fixed, identity?
I think, also there's a lot of pressure, I feel like, in the Israeli society, what I heard from people, what I saw, and that this is the highest goal of life.
Yeah.
And it's more maybe than some countries in Europe in general, like to commit to one partner, to have one life partner. I think it's definitely not the highest goal. You can also live a very good life without one. I feel still like human are beings that want stable relationships. Like not maybe partnerships, but relationships. And if there's a lot of change in your life, it's not so healthy.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like, I feel it's a struggle for me. Like there are times when I really need to be by myself and there are times I completely don't want to be. And I feel it's a struggle between these two forces. I wonder if you feel it the same.
Not so strong, maybe sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also a problem that we always want all.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it connects to the second or third thing I want to talk about, which is faith. Because all these questions, what is life about, blah, 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 should I be with this person, should I not? And I think it talks about, also this thing we talked about of our need for security drives a lot about how we see the world. And like, I wanted to also ask how you feel about, okay, I'm going to expose you and then you're going to say. So I know you study theology and you define yourself as a Christian and you believe in certain stuff. And I wonder what kind of impact it has on your life.
That's big questions.
So, okay, I will make it a bit like, when looking at yourself, looking at your journey in the world as an individual in a way, like how does believing in God, how does it affect you building this identity, you exploring yourself and others?
It definitely has an impact. Like as a Christian, there are also a lot of values that come with your faith, how you act towards people. Of course, you don't do it always perfect, but you try to orientate with this. And of course, I would say, I think it gives our life a lot of plus to have spirituality in your life.
Yeah. So an interesting thought I now think about is, we talk about God as in the way of like our relationship with him, it, she, them, which is funny, but it's not just something out there that gives you guidance and you can turn it to or you can rely on, but also is really someone that is inside you in a way and that you are one. And it's interesting to think about it because then you ask, is my relationship with God in a way my relationship with myself? How do you see it?
Like, first of all, I have a lot of struggles with my faith. I question it a lot, but I think it's also important to do this. And when you're a child, you have this picture of God and you characterize it with a person.
Yeah.
But if you get older, and also in my studies, you learn a lot of theories, you imagine it more like something not very physical anymore. Maybe it's a power, and it appears everywhere in nature.
I want to tell you a nice story about God. And maybe it talks about where does God start and finish and where it relates to me. So the story is this person is walking on the shoreline, beautiful beach, and is walking, and God is walking next to him. And he sees, the footsteps on the shore. You can see them even after you're already walked there. And he walks, and God is walking beside him. And then at some point, he looks and sees there's only 2 footsteps. So I think, okay, now, God has left me, I was alone. And then he goes to God and asks him, where were you? You left me. And he said, no, I didn't leave you. I was carrying you. So you only saw my footsteps.
That's sweet.
Of course, it's a metaphor to say, sometimes we think we walk alone, or this person was going through a hard time and he said, you left me and I had to deal with myself. But what this person didn't realize that God was carrying him. So I think it's an interesting story when you talk about God and being alone. I also really struggle with God, but I think it's an interesting concept to understand that even when we think we're alone and no one is there, someone is actually there with us. And I think it's a very strong feeling to have in your life.
Yeah, maybe it's also just good to be always open-minded that there maybe is more, like this guy in the story that didn't realize it. Yeah, maybe it's good to be open that there's many more than we think.
Yeah, definitely. So it connects us well to one of our last sections, which I want to talk about, which I call in the very funny, romanticizing name, the meaning of life section.
Weren't we there already?
It's a bit of a different section, and I just want you to answer freely. It doesn't have to be something really complex. I want to ask you what is very meaningful in your life, in the sense of what keeps you going on.
I would say definitely my family. And also connection with other men. No, with other humans. I think that's the
human
precious
connection.
Yeah, I think that's the most precious connection that we have. And nowadays, also in our generation, we have this huge trend to optimize ourselves, to eat the healthiest and everything, sleep the best and things like that. But I think in the end, what is the most precious is encounters with you and also to open up. And what keeps me going? Good question. Maybe beautiful memories. Like, I'm always excited what the future will hold.
Yeah, I want to say that.
I want to know what will happen.
Yeah, you're not scared of it?
Of course, I'm often also scared, but also I want to know how I will be with 30 or 40.
Yeah. Where do you think you will be in 10 years?
In an island?
Oh, no. Really? No, maybe yes. If do, please invite me. I will come. A better question. Where do you want to be in 10 years?
Oh, that's so hard. I should have prepared for this.
No, it's nice. You should just bring out whatever you have in mind.
Right now, I'm really looking for stability also. I just want to have a stable life, have my family around me, be fulfilled with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Amen. Okay, good. I think we can...
you?
That's why I ask you, because I am looking for answers myself. No, it's a good question, but I don't have an answer, but I'll think about it. So to our last and maybe my favorite part, the poem section. And it was a bit of a challenge because I needed to find something in English. And most of the poetry I know is in Hebrew. But it was interesting, and I found 2 really beautiful things. And the first one is in German, and I wrote it down so you can read it to us in German. It's very, very simple, do not worry. So I think it will be nice if you read it in German, and then I will read the translation I have in English. And then I have another poem, but we can see where it goes. Are you ready?
Awesome.
Okay, I'm really excited.
I'm also excited.
It's by a very famous German author, Bertolt Brecht. Master and poet. No, I'm joking. You know him for sure. And I came across this song by accident when I was in Amsterdam. And it's really beautiful. It doesn't have really a name, but if it would be the first line, which goes, I shall go with the one I love. Okay.
Ich will mit dem gehen, den ich liebe. Ich will nicht ausrechnen, was es kostet. Ich will nicht nachdenken, ob es gut ist. Ich will nicht wissen, ob mich liebt. Ich will mit dem gehen, den ich liebe.
I shall go with the one I love. I shall not reckon what it costs. I shan't consider if it's right. I shall not ask if he loves me. I shall go with him I love. What do you think? Doesn't matter, but like the concept of the song, like this idea that you just love and you don't think about how it's perceived or what will happen with it.
I think it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the fourth line is interesting. Like I don't want to know if he loves me. But it sounds very passionate also.
Yeah.
It seems like.
But it's interesting.
Sounds a bit like a Miriam poet.
Really? Oh my God, that's so exciting.
No, because I think that's your attitude.
It's funny, it is, but it's interesting because, and I don't know if it's exactly the opposite, but the idea here is it doesn't matter if this person loves me as well, I love them. And it's an interesting concept to think about because I think we really, also what we talked about partnership, like we really expect love to go both ways. It kind of puts all the pressure on the other person and less the focus on the fact that I have this feeling, which is love.
I think this is maybe a picture of a moment, which is nice. But it's also kind of what I like about it. It's very fearless.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So
like
like what?
Like you.
Me, I'm fearless. Okay, I want to see about that. But it connects maybe nicely to the second poem I brought by Emily Dickinson. You probably heard of her, a very famous American poet, if I'm not mistaken. I think she lived in the 17th century. And she has really strong, passionate, interesting poems. And this one poem is really beautiful. It's not from this book, but I brought it here and I would like to read it to you. And it also talks, I think, a little about wanting to do good in the world and our relation with people. So I'll read it to you. And also it doesn't really has a name, but we should call it by its first sentence. And so it goes like this. If I can stop one heart from breaking, if I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life be aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. So if I can help, like robin is this kind of small bird. So if she could help one small bird that is fainting into its nest, her life had some kind of meaning. And I don't know, I think it's a really strong song because it has this tenderness to it. If you could only do something small that's so humane, like help this one heart from breaking or cool this one pain, like I think it's very also modest. She's not looking to change the world and save, all the misery, but just do small stuff, which that will make her life meaningful.
Sounds a bit like Christian theology.
In what way?
That your life gets fulfilled with doing small things to get closer to the big reign of God.
Interesting.
I think compared to the other poem, this one is really selfless. The other one is pretty egoist.
So you prefer the second one? I would like to keep this one. Yeah. You should.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I have another good poem by her about hope. Maybe I'll read it to you because if you liked her. Okay, so it goes like this. It's poem number 254. Hope is the thing with feathers that purges in the soul, and sing the tone without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting to think of hope this way. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so small but so strong. We can always have it, and it's never like it has this life of its own, which is really,
it always exists.
Yeah,
we can't destroy it.
Amen. Okay, so I think on this positive note, I can thank you very much for coming. I know it was a long, tedious road until we got here, but I think it's important that we have this, and I think it's also important. Like, I wanted you to share. I think that you have very important things to share. So happy you agreed to come.
I was happy to be here.